So welcome back. So in this video of lesson 3 for the HDFS module, we're going to look at the REST API options and how you can access HDFS via HTTP. So some of the things we'll look at is the configuration options, what you need to change in the HDFS configuration to enable this, what is the authentication mechanism, and we'll go and walk through some of the file and directory operations. Again, this one will have options to run some of these commands in your VM, the Hadoop instance, so you can spin that up and be ready. So enabling web HDFS, essentially there are three parameters, only one of which is actually needed. The other two are for security purposes that are recommended. These options are set in HDFS-site.xml. Now if you remember, the vendor options usually have a GUI based console to manage all these things, so you can set them there, but I just wanted to show you where it fits into the actual configuration files. So the three parameters are dfs.webhdfs.enabled. This can be set to true or false, and essentially that enables or disables things. And then you have two Kerberos authentication parameters. One is a principal and the key tab, and this is more if you want to turn on the security and something a system administrator would do. So let's hop on to our quick start terminal and see what's in the HDFS site.xml. So the command I'm running is more, and the file is located in /etc/hadoop/conf. So I'm just doing a more on that file, essentially looking at its contents. And you can hit the space bar if you want to scroll down, or you can just hit enter if you want to scroll slowly. Either way, you can push down and you'll find that there's only one parameter set in this particular instance. It's dfs.webhdfs.enabled, and it's set to true, so that's good news. We can actually use the HTTP interface. So before we jump into some commands, let's look at the authenticated pieces. So if security is off, which is the case in this case, all you need to do is essentially specify a username. So in your commands, if you do user.name equals the particular username, that's good enough. If you've got security on, there are a couple of options. You can use Kerberos that will have a -- negotiate option, so that's highlighted in red in this command. And if you're doing a delegation option, then you can add that delegation piece into your command. So essentially pretty simple to use if things are set up already. So in our case, as I said, the authentication is off, so all we are doing is specifying a username. So let's look at a simple HTTP GET request. So we're using the curl command to initiate this request. We're giving it the address, so you can see http quickstart.cloudera, and that's the port number where this is listening. And then there's the web HDFS, and essentially the path you're worried about is /user cloudera here. So what I'm doing is essentially getting status on that particular directory. So the operation that I'm requesting from the REST API is in red here, so op equals get file status. So it's going to essentially tell you status of that file. So this is like doing an ls essentially. So circled is basically the output you see from this particular command. So I've gone and run this in the quick start VM, and you can see it comes back and says the status, it's directory, which we knew because it's the home directory of Cloudera. It's got an ownership of Cloudera and group of Cloudera, and the permission is set to 755, and 755 translates to read write execute for user and read execute for others. And there is more information about blocks and replications. So it's pretty simple to use. Similarly, you can actually make a directory there. So let's go back to our terminal and run this command. So now it's a put command because we are actually asking something to be done. So you got -x put into your curl options, and again, the whole HTTP address, and the operation, if you notice, now says op equals mkdirs. So that's basically making a directory, and we are setting the permission to 755. So basically read, write, execute for user and read, execute for everyone else. So when this command runs, it'll successfully come back, and what I'm doing here now is, instead of using an HTTP command, let's go run our typical HDFS DFS command and see if that directory actually got created. So I did a HDFS DFS -ls/user. So you can see that new directory circled in yellow there, that's been created, user test. So let's go do some other operation now. So initially we will create a local file, just like the previous module. We basically do your DD. So this is a Linux utility that lets you stream data. So you're streaming it from dev urandom into the sample.txt file. Essentially we are creating a 1 GB local file here. So again, I have a snapshot from the quick start VM. So I did the DD command there up in the first line, and it created a file which is roughly 1.1 gigabytes. Let's use a DFS put command. That's not a HTTP command. We are putting the file into the directory we created a few slides ago in user test, and essentially we put that file, and then we do another GET request to see status of that file. So I'm doing a get content summary on that user test directory. So what it's going to do is give you a listing of what's in that directory. So the content summary tells you directory count is 1 because we have a single directory. The file count is 1 now because we now put in a file, and the size matches the size that was on the local file system, and it gives you the space consumed in that directory. So simple commands essentially. We have a quick view of some of the HTTP operations. There's a wide range again. We'll have a reference link where you can go look at all the commands, but essentially you can do get commands to check file status, checksums, attributes. You can do put commands to create, change ownership, rename files, permissions, snapshots. You can do post commands to append and concatenate. You can delete files or snapshots. So lots of options via the REST API. This essentially concludes the HDFS modules. Hopefully you got a good overview of the architecture, some of the tuning parameters, how do I access files, the APIs. So this is kind of a summary of what you can do with HDFS. So in the next module, we'll focus on MapReduce paradigm and its usage in detail, and you'll go on to more complicated applications in the upcoming modules.